Hello, I made it. Well, hey, welcome Juice, awesome, and welcome Desert Rose and Little Wing, welcome so much, and I'm so stoked to check out that link. I already subbed to it. I restarted my internet, so hopefully you guys can see me and I'm not lagging with some crazy face on or something like that. I I found myself wearing some crazy faces during some lagging portions of the last stream. But that's expected, right? So yeah, let's do some reading today. Let's do some more reading about these Celtic fables, legends, and folklore by John Hickey and Martin Hintz. All right, so we left off at Rent Day Woes. So I'm gonna jump right into it. All right, Rent Day Woes. Oh, all is gone, muttered Billy Duty to himself as he sat on a rock by the lake of Killarney. This is a wide world, but what shall we do and where shall we go? Tim the driver swears if we don't pay our rent, he'll take every halfpenny we have. To be sure, Judy and myself and the children will be turned out on the high road to starve. Ah, that I should have ever lived to see a day like this. Thus did hapless Bill Duty bemoan his fate to the reckless waves of the unfeeling lake, which seemed to mock his misery with its beauty. Yet Bill Duty was not so desolate as he supposed, for there was one listening to his sorrows, and help was at hand from an unexpected quarter. "What's the matter, my good man?" asked a tall, portly gentleman who seemed to step out of nowhere. Bill was surprised to find the man standing in front of him, for he was seated on a rock that commanded the view of the whole plain. Bill asked himself if this gentleman might belong to another world. What with all the fairy islands that dotted the lake, he was worried, but mustered enough courage to reply. "Oh, my crops have failed. Someone has charmed away the butter from the churn, and now Tim the driver will turn us out of our poor cottage if I don't pay every penny of rent by noon tomorrow," Bill told the stranger. "A sad story indeed," said the gentleman. "But surely, if you just explained yourself to the agent, he wouldn't have the heart to turn you out." "Heart!" exclaimed Bill. Where would an agent get a heart? I see you haven't had the honor of his company. Besides, Tim's had an eye on my farm for his own. I expect no mercy, and none will be received." "Take this, poor fellow," said the gentleman, as he poured a purse full of gold coins into Bill's old hat, which lay on the ground. "Pay the man your rent, but leave it to me to see that it does him no good, for I remember a time when things went otherwise in this country. Why, then we would have hanged such a fellow in the twinkling of an eye." But these words were lost on Bill, who saw only the gold and the fact that his farm was saved from Tim the driver. When he regained his senses and lifted his head to thank the stranger, the man was gone. "Oh, Donahue," shouted Bill to the lake. "The good, blessed O'Donoghue!" For it was indeed the spirit of O'Donoghue, the great prince who lives under the waves of Killarney, who saved Bill. He ran home to Judy to show her the gold, and they rejoiced in their wealth and happiness. The next day, Bill went to the agent's office, not with his hat in his hand, but bold and upright, like a man of independent means. However, Tim the driver did not greet him as an equal. "Take off your hat, Duty," he demanded. "Don't you know you're speaking to a magistrate?" What a D-bag. Oh, power. It goes to our heads if we let it. Saturnian, welcome, man. Awesome. "I know I'm not speaking to the king," said Bill, "and I never takes off me hat, but to them that I loves and respects, and I have neither for you or your kind." "Ooh, you scoundrel," raged Tim, biting his lips in anger at such unexpected opposition. "I'll teach you to be insolent. I have power in this county, you know." All right, then we have this really cool picture. A seaport in Connemara, or Connemara. 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 It's a pretty word. Connemara. Ooh. All right. To the cost to the cost of the county, said Bill, whose head remained as firmly covered as the king of Kingsale himself. Well, where is your money? Asked the exasperated agent. This is the rent day, and that if there's one penny missing, prepare to be turned out this very night. Here's your rent, said Bill, laying the gold coins on the table. You'd better count it. You better count it out and give me a receipt that says I paid in full. Tim the driver looked with amazement on the gold. It was the real thing, not some dirty old notes that are only fit to light your pipe with, but solid gold coins. However much Tim wanted to ruin Bill Duty and take his farm, he loved gold still better. So he took the coins and stacked them while he counted. When he was finished, he handed a receipt marked "Paid in Full" to Bill. As Tim the driver stared from his door, Bill strutted down the high street like a cat with clean whiskers. But as Tim turned back to his table, he found not the gold coins, but a stack of old gingerbread cakes, each stamped like a guinea with the king's head. Oh, shoot. I'm dropping stuff. That's funny. From that hour, all of Bill Duty's undertakings prospered, and he became rich. He continued to visit the rock by the shore of the Lake of Killarney and blessed the day he met with the great O'Donoghue. I love that story. Did you love that story? Oh my gosh. That's a good one, right? See, right? The universe. It's always looking out for us. It's awesome. I like those stories. Cake and King's Head. Oh, dang. Oh, mystical. Awesome. Welcome on in. Welcome. Okay, so we're going to go to this next one. The Fairy Nurse. This one looks like a poem. Sweet babe, a golden cradle holds thee, and soft the snow-white fleece enfolds thee. In airy bower I'll watch thy sleeping, where branchy trees to the breeze are sweeping. Shuhin sho, lulo lo. When mothers languish broken-hearted, when young wives are from husbands parted, ah, little think the keeners lonely, they weep some time-worn fairy only. Shuhin sho, lulo lo. Within our magic halls of brightness trips many a foot of snowy whiteness, stolen maidens, queens of fairy, and kings and chiefs, a sloshy airy. Shuhin sho, lulo lo. Rest thee, babe, for soon thy slumbers shall flee at the magic's Colshi's numbers. In airy bower I'll watch thy sleeping, where branchy trees to the breeze are sweeping. Shuhin sho, lulo lo. That's beautiful. By Edward Walsh. Yeah, lots of... I wonder, is it like a Shuhin sho, lulo lo? I'm supposed to say it with like exclamation. I wonder if it means something in Gaelic. Or is it like la la la, like I don't, like the dadas, the la-las, the hums. Is it just like a noise like that? I love those. Okay. That's what I'm thinking about. I'm trying to think of an example of what I'm trying to say here. Like, like in songs like dum doody doo dum dum shabba dooby dum. Yeah, like that, okay? Is that what that was? Anyways, I liked it. Okay. The Fairy Gold. Buttercups and daisies in the meadow, and the chicken pick them as they pass, weaving in the sunlight and the shadow garlands for each little lad and lass. Weave with dreams their buttercups and daisies, as the poor dead children did of old. Will the dreams, like sunshine in their faces, wither with their flowers, like fairy gold? Once, when lonely in life's crowded highway, came a maiden sweet and took my hand, led me down love's green, delightful byway, led me dreaming back to fairyland. But death's jealous eye that lights on lovers looked upon her, and her breast grew cold, and my heart's delight, the green sod covers, vanished from my arms like fairy gold. Then to Ireland, my long suffering nation, that poor hope life left me, yet I grave. Oh, whoa. Let's try that one again. Then to Ireland, my long suffering nation, that poor hope life left me, yet I gave. With her dreams I dreamed, her desolation found me, called me, desolate by the grave. Once again she raised her head, contending for her children's birthright as of old. Once again, the old fight had the old ending. All her hopes and dreams were fairy gold. Now my work is done, and I am dying, lone and exile on a foreign shore. But in dreams I roam with my heart's lying, lonely in the old land I'll see no more. Buttercups and daisies in the meadows, when I'm gone will bloom new hopes for old. Comfort her with sunshine after shadows, fade no more away like fairy gold. By John Todhunter. This is A Meadow of Flowers in County Kerry. Trace B! Bamboo! Welcome, everyone! Awesemo! Dang, isn't that gorgeous? You know, when I was in elementary school, I was born in California. When I was in elementary school, we took a field trip to the poppy fields. The poppy is the California flower, and it was magnificent. I mean, like, I don't know, this field made me think of it, but like the poppy fields, they're just orange fields of flowers, And when we were there, they had this professional whistler there who whistled to us in the poppy fields. It was so cool. It was so freaking cool. We also visited the poppy fields with my uncle and my aunt and my 3 cousins. We used to meet up with them like once a month. Where did they live? They lived crap, I can't remember the name of the county they lived in. Riverside. They lived in Riverside County. Yeah, so anyways, flowers. Poppies. Okay. So this one's called The Fairies. It's just a paragraph. Brave old Ireland is the land of fairies, but of all the various descriptions, there isn't one to be compared with the leprechaun in the regard of cunning and cuteness. Now, if you don't know what a leprechaun is, I'll tell you. Why then, save us and keep us from harm. For they are queer chaps to goster about. We're going to have to look that up. To goster about. A leprechaun is the fairies' shoemaker, and a mighty conceited little fellow he is, I assure you, and very mischievous. By John Brogum. Okay, so it's spelled Gosther, and it's also in italics. Do you guys know what it means? Goster. For they are queer chaps who goster about. A leprechaun is the fairies' shoemaker, and a mighty conceited little fellow he is, I assure you, and very mischievous. Okay, wait, goster. I don't know what it means. We got to look it up. I thought maybe if I read it again, I'd get an idea or something. I mean, obviously they're talking about how he's mischievous, but where's my mouse? Okay. Goster. Goster meaning. To behave in a noisy, boisterous, or swaggering fashion. To brag or boast in some localities. To laugh noisily. Oh, I'm that way. I laugh noisily. The laughter aspect is foregrounding in Colin's definition of goster, which is Goster. Oh, which it calls a Northern England dialect word meaning to laugh uncontrollably or to gossip. So I think it's going with the first one, to behave in a noisy, boisterous, or swaggering fashion. Faction, I don't know. Fashion, to brag or boast. Cool. Guster. To laugh uncontrollably. Chiefly Irish variant of Gauster, Gauster. Cool. I like it. Okay. Queer chaps to goster about. How dare they? Okay, so fairy music. Irish dance and music are celebrated throughout the world. It is said that their inspiration comes from the fairies. This story is told in one County Clare. A young man named Colin returned to his cottage after a long day of cutting peat. There, he found a lovely young woman sitting by his fire. She was softly humming a sad tune to herself. Colin had never seen the beautiful woman before, but he immediately fell in love with her. He asked, "Ah, what is this lovely, sad song you're singing?" The young woman looked at him blankly, as if she had just noticed he was there. "I've lost it," she said. "Lost what?" Colin asked. "I've been with the fairies," she replied. "I was fetching water, and I slipped and fell. When I got up, it was like the hills glowed. Then I heard it. The fairy music. It was soft and pretty and low and beautiful. Then I forgot why I'd come to the well, and I forgot my da and ma and the little ones waiting for me. The music charmed me, you see. Soon there were fairies all around me. Beautiful people they were, dressed in silver and gold. They were dancing to the sweetest music. And then a young man took my hand, and we danced till the moon and the stars left the sky. It was like floating on the air. The young man was a fairy prince, and they had charmed me to be his bride. To think of it, me, a fairy princess. But then the man, with flaming red hair, thrust a branch of ivy into my hands. He said only one word, remember. And then all my life came rushing back to me, my parents and brothers and sisters and our little cottage, and I got scared. I turned to run. I could hear the fairies coming, so I ran harder and harder. I've been running the whole night. Colin said, "But you've got away. There are no fairies here to scare you anymore. You won't be lost for long." The young woman looked up at Colin with tears in her eyes. "No, you don't understand. It's the fairy music I've lost. There's a memory of it in my head, but I can't find it anymore. If I don't hear it again, I'll die." So Colin took her into his life and married her. And he called her Kathleen because she liked the way it sounded. He spent the rest of his life trying to please her, making up songs, learning to play the harp and the whistle and the pipes, and they lived a happy life together. But every full moon, Kathleen stepped outside again, sang her unknown song to herself, trying to find the words and melody to the lost fairy music. Oh my God. I love this story. I love it. Oh, right. There's a picture too. The fairy dance. The fairy dance. Early 20th century illustration. We'll get there. I'm looking too. It's so interesting. It's like, I think, like, who knows, maybe in how many hundreds of years from now, well, there'll be books like these, and it'll be like everybody's alien stories. They're the same thing, It's just like our frame of mind. Anyways, I loved that. I love that so much. Okay, I got lost because I love that. Okay, so this next one is called John Hannafin. John Hannafin and the Fairies. I wonder if it's the same. Not far from this very place lived a man by the name of John Hannafin. He was a great farmer with wide fields and many cattle. The cows were driven from the barn every morning up to the milking ground, which was a large grassy pasture in front of Hannafin's home. In the center of the space was placed a large tub. Each milkmaid poured her pail of milk into the tub as soon as she finished filling it. One sunshiny morning, the tub was turned over and all the milk poured out upon the ground. The same thing occurred the next morning and the next. John Hannafin grew worried because no matter how closely the maids watched or how much more careful they became, the milk always spilled. Naturally, Hannafin's wife was very angry about this, and she constantly scolded the maids. They grew very afraid of her and tried hard to keep an eye on the tub, but the milk continued to be spilled for more than a week. Hannafin grew tired of this and decided to drive his herd to another location. On his way, he passed an old fairy fort on the road between his house and the new pasture. As the cattle walked past, he heard a child crying. The babe was answered by a woman's voice that said, "Hush ye now, my little one. Hannafin's cows are passing, and soon we'll have milk enough." Hannafin listened with wide eyes, but he was wise enough not to say anything. So while the next milking was going on, he kept a close watch on the tub. He never let his eyes off the milk. As one of the maids was finishing milking, she walked towards the tub, but was knocked into by a heifer who was pushed by another cow. Naturally, everything spilled. Out came the wife, screaming and yelling about the loss of the milk again. Hannafin stopped her yelling by saying, "This is no fault of the maids. They can't help it, so I'll manage this." He was quiet as he planned what to do. How calculating. Okay. The next morning, he went about his chores as usual, and again he heard the child crying inside the fairy fort. As he walked by, he bravely said out loud, "Tomorrow, a cow of mine will calve. No one will milk that cow. You can do what you like with the milk." And he walked on with the herd. The tub was not turned over the next morning, nor ever again. But Hannafin's wife did not know what had happened. She tried to milk the cow with the newborn calf, but she always found that someone had gotten there before her. Naturally, she grew angry, thinking that someone was stealing the milk. Hannafin told her not to worry because he knew what was happening. This went on for 2 years. Hannafin proposed that his cows continued to give rich, foaming milk every day. Oh, wait. Hannafin prospered, and his cows continued to give rich, foaming milk every day, all but from one cow that he had set aside. Hannafin was a very generous man, and he always helped his neighbors when they got into trouble. He often aided them in paying their debts. Yet, at last, when the creditors demanded all their money, they came after Hannafin because he had secured the loans of his desperate friends. The creditors intended to take everything from Hannafin, from his house to his cows. The bailiff arrived early one day, planning to take what he could carry and drive off the herd for sale. Hannafin ran to the fairy fort and said, "I'm going to lose all my cows, but I'll try to save one I kept for you and feed her still so the child may have its daily milk." What a dude. The bailiff sent down 3 of his men to round up the cattle. They went to the pasture where the cows were grazing and began to drive them down the road. As each deputy passed the fairy fort, he was picked up by some unseen hand and tossed over the hedgerow into the bog. One minute he was on this side of the road, and the next minute he was in the ditch. The deputies were so battered and bruised with all this, they became extremely frightened and complained that people were beating them up. They did not know who it was, but they blamed Hannafin. The cattle, of course, lifted their tails and galloped back to their pasture. The next day, the bailiff sent out a posse of armed men to take Hannafin's cattle and tear down his house. But as they were driving the herd away, they had to pass the fairy fort. Before they could bless themselves, they were tossed from the road, over the hedgerows, and into the muddy bog. They were cut and wounded from the thorns and thistles as they tried to crawl out. The cows ran back to their pasture, since the officers could barely move. Never again did the bailiff send his deputies to take away Hannafin's cows, and the creditors never did collect their money. Hannafin prospered from selling all of the milk, and he continued to help his neighbors. Eventually, all the debts were paid off, and everyone was pleased. Being true to your heart. Go, Hannafin, go. I love that. Did you guys like that story? I loved that story. That was a goodie. Beware the Banshee. The Banshee are a particularly Irish sort of ghost. Originally, they were beautiful young maidens who carried away potential suitors to Tirnanog. Or is it Tirnanog? I just keep thinking about it. And why didn't I look it up? Let's look it up right now, you guys. Tirnanog. Yeah, I thought so too, Juice. Let's just find out how to say it. Is it Tirnanog or Tirnanog? Tirnanog. Pronunciation.
Irish words and names, so make sure to stay tuned and consider subscribing for more learning. How do you say it? Tirnanog.
Tirnanog.
Pretty straightforward once you know. Tirnanog.
Tirnanog.
You know. Here are more videos on how to pronounce more interesting names.
Thank you. Oh, I already forgot. No, I got it. Tirnanog. Shoot, I gotta hear that guy say it again.
Irish words and names, so Tirnanog.
Tirnanog. Tirnanog.
Tirnanog.
Tirnanog.
You know. Here, no. Tirnanog.
Tirnanog.
You know. Here are more videos on how to...
Cool. Tirnanog. Tirnanog. Well, he's Irish, which is awesome. I mean, I'm Irish too, but I never picked up the dialect. Where am I trying to be? Here I am. Tirnanog. Cool. Okay, very good. All right. The Banshee are a particularly Irish sort of ghost. Originally, they were beautiful young maidens who carried away potential suitors to Tirnanog, the land of perpetual youth. Eventually, the pretty girls evolved into the screeching, withering hags with wild eyes and flaming hair known as the Banshee. The Banshee appear to those whose death is imminent. They beckon the doomed into that unknown spirit world with a shriek of terror that sounds like the long drawn-out wailing of a tormented soul. It is said that the Banshee haunt only those who can trace their roots to the ancient royal Irish families. One can only wish to be spared this inheritance. Interesting. Man, you know, all these stories, I love them, right? Bloodlines and... All right. The Piper and the Puka. Ooh, the Puka. I love the Puka. Okay. In long ago days, there was a fool, but only half a fool, living in Dunmore in far-off County Galway. Although he was truly fond of the pipes, he could not learn more than one tune, the Black Rogue. But he got a lot of money from the fine gentlemen of the county because they teased him for sport after he played. Aw. One night, the piper was wandering home from a party where there'd been plenty of drink and dancing when he came across a little bridge that was near his mother's house. He squeezed the pipes and began playing the Black Rogue. From the midnight darkness, a Puka, that wicked fairy beast, came up from behind the poor piper and flung the man on his broad hairy back, where the long sharp horns of the Puka and the piper got a fine grip on them. There were long sharp horns on the Puka, and the piper got a fine grip on them. Destruction to you, you vile creature! Let me fly home. I have a 10-penny coin in my pocket for my wandering mother, and she wants a pinch of snuff, the man cried out. Never mind your fine mother, retorted the evil Puka, but keep your grip. If you fall, you will shatter your back and your pipes. And the Puka told him to play another tune. The Shan van Vocht, V-O-C-H-T. Mithery, wailed the piper, I don't know it. Never mind whether you know it or not, warned the beast. Play up, and I'll make your fingers fast and the tune elegant. The worried piper put wind in his bag, and he played such magnificent music, he himself wondered where it came from. My word, you're but a fine bit of music teacher, said the piper. But now, tell me, where are we going? Now just you listen, my questioning lad, said the Puka, delighted with the music the piper could now play. There's a grand feast in the great house upon the hill, the home of the Banshee, atop Crogpatrick tonight. That's where we'll flee, he explained in his low, rumbling voice. I'm bringing you there to play your music, and you'll be paid handsomely, believe me. Upon my word, rejoined the piper, you will save me a pilgrimage then, for Father William in the church down below put a journey of penance for me to go to the top of Crogpatrick's because I stole a white gander from him last Martinmas. Is that Christmas? A white gander. Is that why we say gander? Take a gander? Do they have like long necks? Is it a bird? Gander Mountain? I don't know. Okay. When the Puka flew with the frightened piper across the hills high and low and over bogs low and murky, they came to the top of Crogpatrick, all in a rush of rolling thunder and flashing lightning, much to the fear of the piper. Atop the mountain, the Puka struck the rocks with 3 sharp blows of his cloven hoof. A magnificent oak door swung open, and the Puka and the piper passed below together. The door slammed shut behind them. Ah, it was a fine sight that greeted the piper. The grand room was decorated with furs, linens, and jewels. The piper saw a golden table at the center of the hall that was surrounded by hundreds of old hags sitting on stumps of logs. They looked up, and the oldest of the old screeched out, Who is this ye have with ye, O fine Puka of November? Who is this? Puka of November. The Puka responded, none other than the best piper in Ireland. At this, the poor piper turned white as the salt sea foam, but he continued to clutch his pipe, for he was truly afraid. One of the ancient ones hit the ground with her blackthorn walking stick, and a wide door opened in the side of the hall. What did the piper see but the white gander he had stolen from Father William? Do you guys know what a gander is? Is it a bird? Well, by my true conscience then, myself and my mother ate every bit of that fine gander. It's got to be a bird. Only one wing did I save, which I gave to Red Mary in the next valley. It was she that told the priest I stole the gander. The gander did not pay any attention to the piper's tale because it was busy a-cleaning the table of all the mugs and plates. Then the Puka told the piper to play. At this, the old women leapt up and began dancing. They danced and danced until they collapsed with exhaustion. At the last of the piper's notes died away, the Puka told them to pay the man. Each of the hags drew out a gold coin from their wolfskin purses, and they gave the coins to the piper. Now come with me, said the Puka. It is time to go home. There's a picture here. The Overture by Edwin Thomas Roberts. Ew. I like the emotion that Edwin Thomas Roberts captured. She's like, ooh. Okay, so come with me, said the Puka. It's time to go home. Out they went. Out they went then. Just as the piper was about to jump on the Puka's back, the gander came up to him and presented him with a wonderful set of new pipes. It was not long before the Puka had carried the piper back to Dunmore. Off jumped the piper at the little bridge. Before he left in the night, the Puka said, "You have two things now that you didn't have before. You have sense and you have music. Now go." Wow. Dude, I'm loving this. Okay. The piper scurried home and banged on his mother's door. Let me in, let me in. I'm as rich as an earl, and I'm the best piper in Ireland." "You're drunk," said his mother, always the doubter, for she knew her son. "No, for sure. No, indeed," the man rejoined. "I haven't had a drop." Oh, here's another picture. Irish countryside along the Atlantic coast. Ooh. A male goose. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. I needed that help. Thank you, Rose. The mother then let him in, and she was truly amazed when he handed her all the gold coins and showed off his new pipes. "Wait now," he said. "Wait until you hear the music all sound." He buckled on the pipes, but instead of glorious music, there was only the sound of geese and ganders honking and calling. As if all the birds in Ireland were screeching. All the neighbors rose from their sleep and came to his mother's house, where they stood outside and mocked him. But they quieted down when he put on his old pipes and played the most wonderful tunes, the best they had ever heard. Ooh. The next dawn, when his mother arose from bed and went to the hiding place where she had placed the coins, all she found were dried leaves. At this, the piper went to Father Martin, who told him his story of the Puka. Told him his story of the Puka, the old woman, and the gander. The priest, of course, did not believe a word of this until the piper played him a tune on the new pipes. Again came the honking and screeching of geese. Get away, you thief!" roared the priest. What? That's what the priest said. Anyways. But the piper put down his new pipes and put on his old, just to show the priest that everything he had said was true. From then on, the piper played only the most wonderful music that County Galway had ever heard. He became quite wealthy, playing far and near, and there was never another piper quite as good as he. So wait, why did the money disappear why did the money disappear and turn into leaves? I don't get it. Because the mom wait, I don't understand. I guess the hiding place was she was stealing coins from him. Is that why that they're taken, because they don't belong to her or something? The next dawn, when his mother arose from bed and went to the hiding place where she had placed the coins, all she found were dried leaves. I assumed they were like the hiding place for both of them. Anyways, he lived a good life and he had sense in music. I love that. Hey, yeah, also, I just want to say welcome to any lurkers out there and anyone who listens later. I'm probably going to read for a little more here. The Fairy Fiddler. Tea is I go fiddling, fiddling. By weedy ways forlorn, I make the blackbird's music, ere in his beast 'tis born. So yeah, it is 'tis, but it's like T and there's a space and it says is. Okay, I'm gonna start again. 'Tis I go fiddling, fiddling, by weedy ways forlorn. I make the blackbird's music, ere in his beast 'tis born. The sleeping larks I awaken, twixt the midnight and the morn. No man alive has seen me, but women hear me play, sometimes at door or window, fiddling the souls away, the child's soul and the colleen's out of the covering clay. None of my fairy kinsmen make music with me now, alone the raths I wander, or ride the white horn bow, but the wild swans they know me, and the horse that draws the plow. By Mrs. W. H. Chesson, Nora Hopper, The Fairy Fiddler. "'Tis I go fiddling, fiddling, by weedy ways forlorn. I make the blackbird's music, ere in his beast 'tis born. The sleeping larks I waken, twixt the midnight and the morn. No man alive has seen me, but women hear me play, sometimes at door or window, fiddling the souls away. The child's soul and the colleen's out in the covering clay. None of my fairy kinsmen make music with me now, alone in the raths I wander, or ride the white horn bow, but the wild swans they know me, and the horse that draws the plow." A lonely fairy fiddler. I like that. Mr. Hugh, welcome, welcome. Hey, dude. All right, the Leprechauns Revenge. Leprechauns are Ireland's best-known fairies. They are often depicted as merry, industrious little sprites with green hats and a shillelagh. What is that? Shillelagh. With green hats and a shillelagh. Shillelagh. Well, let's look it up. It's an Irish word for something. Michael, yay! Welcome, man. Shillelagh. Looking it up. Shill. Shill. Okay. Elagh. Meaning a thick stick of blackthorn or oak used in Ireland, typically as a weapon. Oh, it's a weapon. It's like a staff. Shillelagh. Okay, so let's see how we pronounce it. Okay. Pronunciation.
Shillelagh.
Shillelagh. Shillelagh. Cool.
Shillelagh.
Shillelagh. I like it. Okay, Shillelagh. Hey, Prilly, welcome in. So cool. Okay, so Shillelagh. Cool. Industrious little... Okay, wait. Leprechauns are Ireland's best-known fairies. They are often depicted as merry, industrious little sprites with green hats and a shillelagh. In fact, they are the tinkers of the fairy race, in charge of the tailoring and shoemaking chores for the fairy gentry. Their name means artisan of the brogue. Cool. They know all about hidden treasure, and if it takes their fancy, they will sometimes guide a person of goodwill to the very spot in a fairy ring where a pot of gold lies buried. But leprechauns can be mischievous if they become offended, and as they become offended easily, one should be cautious and civil in dealing with them, as a County Kerry farmer named Tim found out. Now, one day, Tim was in the fields hoeing his potatoes when he spied a little fellow, not bigger than the back of Tim's hand, mending a tiny pair of shoes under the shade of a weed's leaf. Tim recognized him as a leprechaun, and, like a cat stalking a mouse, he silently made his way to the little fellow's workplace. When he got close enough, he grabbed for the creature, caught him by his coat, and lifted him into his pocket. Tim ran home as fast as he could. He bolted through the door to his cottage and drew the curtain across the window, taking the chain from his pocket watch. He fastened it about the leprechaun's neck. As soon as he was satisfied that the fairy was secure, Tim spoke. "Now tell me," he said, "where's your pot of gold? Tell me quickly or I'll bind you tighter." Dude, what a douche. Okay, I do not know of any pot of gold, said the leprechaun, irritated at being treated so roughly. Now let me go, so I may finish mending my king's shoes. If that's your game, Tim said, then we'll see how you like this. With those words, Tim laid the leprechaun on the smoldering coals in the grate and scorched him. In the grate. Dude. "Oh, take me off, cried the leprechaun. "I'll tell you what you need to know." But Tim kept the little fellow suspended over the hot coals until he revealed his secret. All right, said the leprechaun, looking at the bottom of the old quarry, under the stones, by the garden wall. Oh, wait, look in the garden. Wait, son of a gun. Look in the bottom of the old quarry, under the stones, by the garden wall, and you'll find your pot of gold. Only you must go at midnight, and beware the man who takes his wife along. Now, it just so happened that at this very moment, Tim's wife came in. Oh, sorry. Weird itch. That made my whole leg move. Okay. Son of a gun, my fingers is right here. Okay. Now, it just so happened that at this very moment, Tim's wife came in with a pail of fresh milk. Seeing the leprechaun suspended over the fire caused her to lose her wits for just a moment. In that moment, the pail dropped and the milk spilled all over the floor. Tim's wife was very angry and began to hit the leprechaun with her broom, saying, "Go away, you little wretch! You have cursed the milk and brought ill luck to this house. Go away!" And she kicked the leprechaun out of the house. Tim told his wife that the leprechaun had said what the leprechaun had said about the pot of gold, and they agreed he should go that very night. She agreed to stay home and not stir about. But as midnight approached, she thought to herself, why, if I should get to the quarry before Tim, I would have the gold for myself. For sure enough, if he gets it, I will have nothing. Right? Before she even finished her thought, her feet were racing to the quarry. When she arrived, no trace of Tim could be found. It was so dark that she lost her way, and she tripped and fell into the bottom of the quarry. There she lay groaning, for her leg was broken. When Tim arrived, he was already frightened by the dark night and the fairies' magic. Then he came to the edge of the quarry and heard groans coming from below. "Mary's death upon us," he shouted. "What is that down there? Are you evil or are you good?" "Oh, it's your own wife here, and my leg is broken," cried the woman. "Come down and help me, or I'll die if you don't, and my curses will be on you forever." So Tim slowly made his way down to his wife, muttering to himself all the while, "Is this my pot of gold at the bottom of the quarry?" Tim took his wife home, and she recovered, but she walks with a limp to this day, from the curse of the leprechaun upon her. Tim's neighbors say that his wife is the leprechaun's curse on him. As to the pot of gold, no one has ever found it, and the little leprechaun still sits under the shade of the weed's leaf and laughs as he tinkers away at his shoes with a tiny hammer. But all are afraid to touch him, for they know how he can take his revenge. Ah. Well, I guess it's a story about greed, right? All right. To the Leanin' She. So we're going to look that up too. Is it because it's Sidhe, and I think you pronounce it she, but I'm not positive. I can't remember. Shillelagh. Yeah. What? Oh, here we go. What?
Goodness.
So many cute things.
Amazing.
Commercial!
pronouncenames.com.
She.
She. It is she.
She.
She. Okay, good. She. To the Leannan she. I think that's Leannan. Well, shoot. The tilde's over the last A. Leannan. To the Leannan she. To the Leannan she. Okay. Where is thy lovely perilous abode? In what strange phantom land? Glimmer the fairy turrets whereto rode the ill-starred poet band? Say, in the Isle of Youth hast thou thy home, the sweetest singer there, stealing on winged steed across the foam, through the moonlit air? Or where the mists of bluebell float beneath the red stems of the pine, and sunbeams strike through shadow, dost thou breathe the word that makes him thine? Or by thy gloomy speaks of Erigal, haunted by storm and cloud, wing past, and to thy lover there let fall his singing robe and shroud? Or is thy palace entered thro' some cliff, when radiant tides are full, and round thy lover's wandering starlit skiff coil in luxurious lull? And would he, entering on brimming flood, see caverns vast, caverns vast in height, and diamond columns crowned with leaf and bud glow in long lanes of light, and there the pearl of that great glittering shell, trembling, behold thee lone, now weaving in slow dance an awful spell, now still upon thy throne? Thy beauty, the eyes that pierce into throe, then melt as in a dream, the voice that sings the mysteries of the blue, and all that be and seem. The lovely motions answering to the rhyme that ancient nature sings, that keeps the stars in cadence for all time, and echoes through all things. Whether he sees thee thus or in his dreams, thy light makes all lights dim, and aching solitude from henceforth seems the world of men to him. Thy luring song above the sensuous roar, he follows with delight, shutting behind him life's lost gloomy door. Shutting behind him life's last gloomy door, and fares into the night. By Thomas Boyd. I loved that. I loved that. That was awesome. Shay. The she. To the Leonin she. Leonan she. Cool. Yeah. And fares into the night. Thy luring song above the sensuous roar. Sensuous. Thy luring song above the sensuous roar. Damn, right? It's like I know the words and I know how to say them. I'm struggling. I'm gonna read this last one again. Thy luring song above the sensuous roar, he follows with delight, shutting behind him life's last gloomy door, and fares into the night. All right, Larry the Piper. Tipperary. In the county of Tipperary, you'll find one of the strangest shaped hills in all of Ireland. Its peak is like a nightcap that has been carelessly tossed on your head and landed sticking straight up to heaven. At its very point is a fairy ring, or rath, as a fairies call them, or wrath, as the fairies call them. I don't know if I knew that. A wrath. R-A-T-H. These wraths are very sacred ground to fairies, for it is in these places that they hold all their midnight revels. The fairies become very angry when a farmer shows disrespect to them by allowing his bulls and cows to graze all over their wraths. It's not just the trampling of their rude hooves that upset the fairies, but also the sound of their lowing. It's so sad in fairy ears, it causes them to cry. Now, it happened that the farmer who owned this hill did not believe in fairies, and he wasn't about to waste valuable grazing space on some superstitious nonsense. In fact, he made it a point to tell his herdsmen to let the cows graze wherever they wanted. The sounds of the cows mooing and the bulls bellowing made the fairies very sad, so the queen of the fairies determined to drive the cattle away by whatever means necessary. At first, she tried to scare the poor animals themselves. She charged herself into a fly and bit the creatures until they scrambled about as if mad. The cattle's troubles would last until the sun rose over the hill, so that the cows were so tired from want of rest they wouldn't give any milk. And never a night passed that some wouldn't fall into a pit or tumble into a river. But the farmer was determined to use all his land, so he hired more herdsmen to tend the cattle at night. Thus, the fairy queen was forced to turn her attentions to the men out on the hillsides. Ooh, here's a hillside. Cattle grazing in Connemara. Ah, picture perfect, right? At midnight every night, she appeared in a different form. One time, she was a great horse with wings like an eagle, driving and shrieking at the herdsmen. Another night, she turned into a little man with a bull's head and a tongue of flame who roared about the hillsides. The poor herdsmen would cover their faces and call on the saints for help, but it did them no good. With a puff of her breath, the queen blew away the folds of their coats and caused them to gaze upon the terrors, their teeth ready to fall out from the chattering. Soon all the herdsmen quit, and the farmer Soon All the herdsmen quit, and the farmer could find no one to tend his cattle. It looked as if the fairies had beaten him, with his substance dwindling daily and the rent day coming round. Now, at that time in Tipperary, there lived a man named Larry Houlihan, who played the pipes better than any other man in the country. Larry was known as a dashing blade who feared nothing. It was said that with enough whiskey, he would defy the devil himself. So as his last hope, the farmer sent for Larry and told him of his troubles. If that is all that ails you, rest easy, said Larry. Were there as many fairies in Tipperary as there are potato blossoms, I would face them down. Were there as many fairies in Tipperary as there are potato blossoms, I would face them down. It would be a queer thing indeed if I, who am not afraid of a proper man, should turn my back upon a brat of sprite not bigger than my thumb. Don't talk so bold, said the anxious farmer, who now believed in the fairies' magic. You do not know who might hear you. But if you can stay with my herd for 1 week on the top of the hill, then you shall have a free hand. Then you shall have a free hand with all I have until the sun itself burns to ash. With the bargain struck, Larry went that night to the hilltop. He carried with him a bottle of barleycorn and his pipes to keep him company. He sat on a big rock in the middle of the rath and began a pleasant tune on the pipes. Almost at once, he heard the laughing voices of the fairies upon the rath. What? Another man upon our sacred ring? They cried. Go to him, queen, and make him repent his rashness. I wonder why they were laughing if they were angry. Maybe it's like a nervous laughter. Like sometimes cats purr when they're scared. I don't know. Okay. Then Larry saw a small black cat sitting on... How crazy that I just said that about cats. Okay. Then Larry saw a small black cat sitting on one of the outer stones of the ring. Presently, the cat swelled up toward the sky and took the shape of a towering bull. But before it could begin to roar, Larry took out his pipes and said, Very good. If you'll lead the dance, I'll pipe. He struck up a merry reel. The queen turned from bull to dragon to horse to fish, but still Larry played on. The queen lost patience with his game, as ladies do when you don't mind their scolding. She changed herself into a calf, as white as cream of cork, and with eyes as mild as those of a lovely young girl. The calf came up to Larry, fawning and gentle, to throw him off his guard. But Larry was not so easily deceived, for when the cattle came up, he dropped his pipes and leapt upon her back. Now the queen rejoiced, for she thought she had the young man in her power. With one great spring, she jumped clear from the mountain right across to the broad waters of the Shannon, flowing more than 10 miles away. This was all accomplished in less than a second, and when she lighted on the opposite bank of the river, she kicked up her heels, flinging Larry onto the ground. Larry looked the calf straight in the face and said, By my word, well done. That was not a bad leap for a calf. The fairy queen looked Larry straight in the face and suddenly assumed her natural shape. Lawrence, she said, you are a bold fellow. Will you come back the way you went? That I will, if you will let me, said Larry. The queen changed back into a calf, and with another bounce, they found themselves again at the fairy rath on the top of the mountain. Resuming her natural self, the queen addressed Larry. You have shown so much courage, Lawrence, that while you kept herds on this hill, you shall never be bothered by me or mine. If you need my services for anything else, all you need do is play on your pipes. Wait a second. How did Larry get into her good graces? By leaping and being tenacious? Wait. Okay. With this she vanished, and never did she reappear to trouble Larry. And he did not trouble her with his request, for he ate and drank at the farmer's expense and roosted in the fairy rath, only occasionally casting an eye to the flock, because he knew they were safe from harm. Oh, clever Larry. I like it. Hey, Singe Man, welcome. And welcome to anybody that I missed who might have passed through. The Little Woman in Red. 'Twas about 6 o'clock on a crisp autumn morning, not so long ago. The harvesters were in the fields early, although the dew was still upon the oats. The grass was lush on the soft green hills, perfect for the cattle heading out from the milking barns. Tommy Owen was at the edge of the field with his reaping hook, standing on the shore road between Carrow and Galway. He was looking over the field of grain, swaying gently in the breeze, when he felt a presence beside him. Looking down, he saw a shoeless little woman wearing a red petticoat and a shawl around her head. "God bless your work," she said to him. "Ah, sure to you too," replied Tommy, admitting later that he was a bit startled. Can ye show me the road to Galway?" asked the little woman in red. "Look there," said Tommy, pointing to the main highway far beyond the field. "But could I not get to the road this way?" she inquired, weaving her hand over the peat bog to the right. "Well, ye could," your man said, "but it wouldn't be aisy, A-I-S-Y, but it wouldn't be aisy. If you go over there across the field, you'll have nothing to do but get on the road, and you'll only have that little wall to cross. I'll go the way I think is best meself," she said, and disappeared quicker than Tommy could make the sign of the cross. He was terribly frightened because he knew that the little lady in red was certainly not of this earth. That's the end of the story. By Daniel Deeney. Okay, this is the Dingle Peninsula in Ireland. It's beautiful. Looks like a quilt. Awesome! That was a weird one. I liked it. Okay, the Leprechaun or Fairy Shoemaker. Little cowboy, what have you heard? Up on the lonely rath's green mound? Only the plaintive yellow bird singing in sultry fields around. Chari, 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 chee. Only the grasshopper and the bee. Tip-tap, rip-rap, tick-a-tack too. Scarlet leather sewn together. This will make a shoe. Left, right, pull it tight. Summer days are warm. Underground in winter, laughing at the storm. Lay your ear close to the hill. Do you not catch the tiny clamor? Busy click of an elfin hammer. Voice of the leprechaun singing shrill. As he merrily piles his trade. He's a span and a quarter in height. Get him in sight, hold him fast, and you're a made man. You watch your cattle the summer day, sup on potatoes, sleep on the hay. How should you like to roll in your carriage and look for a duchess daughter in marriage? Seize the shoemaker, so you may. Big boots a hunting, sandals in the hall, white for a wedding feast, and pink for a ball. This way, that way, so we make a shoe, getting rich every stitch, tick tack too. 99 treasure crocks. This keen miser fairy hath hid in mountain, wood, and rocks, ruin and round tower, cave and rath, and where the cormorants build, 4 times of old, guarded by him, each of them filled full to the brim with gold. I caught him at work one day myself in the castle ditch where the foxglove grows, a wrinkled, wizened, and bearded elf, speckles stuck on top of his nose, silver buckles to his hose, leather apron, shoes in his lap, rip rap, tip tap, tick tack too. A gig stepped on my cap, away the moth flew. Buskins for a fairy prince, brogues for his son. Pay me well, when the job is done. The rogue was mine beyond a doubt. I stared at him, he stared at me. Servant, sir, humph, he said, and pulled a snuff box out. He took a long pinch, looked better pleased. The queer little leprechaun offered the box with a whimsical grace. Poof, he flung, and the dust fly in my face, and while I sneezed was gone. By William Allingham. That was a rhyme, and I felt it some of the time. Okay, so we've got Kumakesta Pass. Ballinskellen, oh son of a gun. Bullinskelligs Bay. Ring of Kerry. I love it. Okay, so we made it through the second chapter. Let's see what shakes here. Let's see what's this next story like? They're little. I like that. How long have I been up here? An hour and 15 minutes? I wonder so wait. This mythical landscape. Hills as green as emeralds cover the countryside. Lakes as blue as sapphires are Ireland's special pride. And rivers that shine like silver make Ireland look so fair. But the friendliness of her people is the richest treasure there. Irish blessing. Hills as green as emeralds cover the countryside. Lakes as blue as sapphires are Ireland's special pride. And rivers that shine like silver make Ireland look so fair, but the friendliness of her people is the richest treasure there. I love that. This mythical landscape. So here's a picture of a castle. I love castles. It's cool, right? I like it. The creation of Lake Killarney. A knight from a distant land decided to woo the fair daughter of a rich Kerry farmer in the Killarney Valley. Now, the knight was not well versed in the ways of love. Instead of following the courting rituals and proposing marriage as he ought, he urged the girl to depart immediately with him to his castle in the north. While the girl was earnestly in love with the knight, she took no pains to conceal her love. She made it known that she would never leave her native vale unless it was as the knight's lawfully married wife. The knight struggled between his pride and his love for the maiden, but he finally went to the girl's house to request her hand from her parents. The parents, who found the match to be a good one, agreed at once, and so the knight went out to seek his bride. Her maid told him that, as was the custom when a girl was in love, she had gone to the fairy well in the valley for water and to seek her fortune. The knight ran to the well and found his bride with two of her handmaids at the spring's edge. The handmaids were just leaving the well with their full buckets balanced on their heads, but the girl's pitcher was only half filled, and she was just about to dip it into the well again when she saw her lover. Before the girl could express her surprise and displeasure that he was still pursuing her, the knight told her where he had been and what he had said to her parents. In a moment, the lass could think of nothing but her newfound happiness. Her pitcher was set aside, and in the cool evening air, the knight and his bride walked about the rocks and brushes of the valley, talking and dreaming of their future life together. The half-filled pitcher was forgotten, and the time went by without notice. Suddenly, as the happy couple approached the father's house, the maid remembered the pitcher and the fateful nature of the magical spring. She shrieked and rushed headlong down to the side of the valley, back towards the well. Her knight followed quickly and soon caught her up in his strong arms. "What does this mean?" he asked with desperation. "Do you not want me for your husband?" "No, no," said the girl with equal fervor. "You don't understand. It's the well and the pitcher I left behind. If I don't get to it and fill it full, then—" But it was already too late, for in front of them, a sheet of water was already covering the little hill where the well stood, and from the well itself, a fountain of water was bursting forth. The water was lapping at the couple's feet when the knight leapt into action. The girl stood there like a statue and would have been covered and drowned were it not for the strength of the knight. Lifting her on his shoulders, he slogged his way through the swiftly rising waters to the nearest slope. When he made his way to the girl's home just in time to give warning to all the valley's inhabitants to gain the heights before their dwellings were covered with water. I wonder if this is something about Atlantis. Okay. The young maid's neglect was denounced by all, but neither she nor the knight cared because, lawfully married or not, they had soon departed for his own country. But their careless love has left Ireland with the most beautiful lake in the world, Killarney. This is the Lake of Killarney in County Kerry. I like that story, even though, right, I liked it. An elegy, I think it's Elegy, an elegy. This was an ancient poem sung in Gaelic and accompanied by a harp, written about the Boyne River by an Ardfeel, the chief poet, Ardfile, maybe. The chief poet of the High King. O Boyne, once famed for battles, sports, and conflicts, and great heroes of the race of Conn. Art thou grey, after all thy blooms? O aged old woman of grey-green pools, O wretched boyne of many tears, where is the glory of thy sires, the glory of art with the swift arrow, of Milton, of Milton, with the swift darting spears, of the lordly race of the O'Neill? To thee belonged red victory, when the Fenian wrath was kindled, and the heroes of thousands rode to war, and the brides clanked on the steeds. O river of kings and the sons of kings, of the swift bark and the silver fish, I lay my blessings on thee with my tears, for thou art thy wanderer. Oh, for thou art thy watcher by the grave. My treasures lie in the earth at thy side, O boyne of many tears. My sons lie there in their strength, my little daughter in her beauty, Rory and Brian and Rose. These I have given against my will, my blood, my heart, my bone and kin, my love and my life, to thy grave. The blessing of men was on them, the blessings of thousands that loved them, from Kells of the crosses of Droger, Drogheda. 8,000 blessings to Dwath of the trees, peace on the earth where they may lie, by the royal steam of the kings in the land of the great O'Neill. I sort of butchered that. Oh, Lord. Just filling out a job app. Cool. All right, how the Shannon got its name. Many years ago, before recorded time, there was a well in Ossory that was shaded by a magic rowan tree. When the berries on the tree ripened, they dropped into the well's quiet, cool waters far below. There, the berries were eaten by the salmon that lived there. Red spots would then appear on these magnificent fish, and they received the name of the salmon of knowledge. It was not easy to capture one of these fish, for there were steep banks alongside the wall and caverns underneath in which the fish could hide. However, one was occasionally caught, and the lucky fisherman became immediately gifted with extraordinary wisdom and insight. Such was the case with Finn McCool when he sampled the broiled salmon of the Boyne. It was common knowledge that no woman could ever taste this delicacy and live until the next bright dawn. Yet Sionan, a lady noted for her thirst for knowledge, braved the danger. She believed the warning was only spread by men who wished to retain the secrets of the salmon for their own selfish male motives. So she went fishing and beforehand prepared everything for a magnificent feast, so sure she was of a catch. After many hours of waiting, she captured a huge fish and immediately readied it for her dinner. Hardly able to wait until it had finished baking on the coals, she reached down and took a large piece and put it into her mouth. The aroma was like the most heavenly perfume, and the pink meat was delicious beyond compare. No one in the world can tell what rapture it was, as the great burst of light and wisdom coursed through her mind with the first taste. But alas, as Sionan stood by the banks of the well and enjoyed her newfound vitality, a great wave roared up from the well and became a mighty river. As the waters receded westward, they carved out a great stream and carried the unfortunate woman out to sea. Forever after, the river bore her name. Today, we know it as the River Shannon. Sionan. Sionan. That's so pretty. Man. So what is this story actually saying, right? I mean, the salmon, the fish, Pisces, a spotted fish. I don't know what matrices or what. Emotions. Just water in general, emotions. And yeah. It's also got like that whole Adam and Eve vibe. I don't know. I dig that story. There seems like a lot in there. All right. I'm going to read one more. The Bells of Shannon. And this one is a poem, I think. Or a song. So here we go. With deep affection and recollection, I often think on those Shandon bells. Oh, Shandon. The bells of Shandon, not Shannon. I often think on those Shandon bells, whose sound so wild would, in days of childhood, fling around my cradle their magic spells. On this I ponder, where'er I wander, and thus grow fonder. Sweet cork of thee, with thy bells of Shandon, that sound so grand on, and pleasant waters of the river Lee. I've heard bells chiming, full many in climbin', tolling sublime in cathedral shrine, while at a glib rate brass tongues would vibrate, but all their music spoke not like thine, for memory dwelling on each proud swelling of the belfry kneeling, its bold notes free, made the bells of Shandon sound far more grand on the pleasant waters of the river Lee. I've heard the bells tolling, old Adrian's Molin, their thunder rolling from the Vatican, and cymbals glorious singing uproarious in the glorious turrets of Notre Dame. But the sounds were sweeter than the dome of Peter, flung o'er the Tiber, pealing solemnly. Oh, the bells of Shandon sound far more grand on than the pleasant waters of the river Lee. There's a bell in Moscow, while on tower and kiosk, in St. Sophia, the Turkman gets, and loud in air calls men to prayer from the tapering summit of tall marionettes. Such empty phantom, I freely grant them, but there's an anthem more dear to me. 'Tis the bells of Shandon that sound so grand on the pleasant waters of the river Lee, by Francis Sylvester Mahoney, aka Father Prout. Ha ha! Asimo. Did I miss any pictures that I was going to show you? Oh, yeah. Did I show you the picture of the River Shannon? Sionen. Shonen. Oh, like the she. SIO. Okay, so like Oisin. I don't know. So dang, you guys, that was really cool. I like these. I really like these stories. And thanks for bearing with me. I'm just like reading through for the first time and nailing it. Oh my gosh. All right. There's just one little paragraph for this one. I'm reading it and then I'm making my way. The little green shamrock of Ireland. There's a dear little plant that grows in our isle. 'Twas St. Patrick himself, sure, that said it. And the sun on his labor did smile, and with dew from his eye often wet it. It thrives through the bog, through the brake, through the mireland, and he called it The Dear Little Shamrock of Ireland. The sweet little shamrock, the dear little shamrock, the sweet little green little shamrock of Ireland, by Andrew Cherry. Cool. So yeah, we'll end on page 96, and I'm going to come back for probably 2 or 3 more little readings here. So thanks for hanging out with me while we're learning about these old folk tales and, well, easy for me, fables, legends, and folklore of the Celtic variety. So yeah, oh my gosh. Thanks for being here with me, you guys. I love you. And yeah, I don't know, maybe I'll be back maybe tomorrow, but I want to get through this book this week. I liked it when I was doing just 1 book a week. I like that a lot. So maybe we'll see what shakes. So hey, I'll see you next time, and maybe I'll see you tonight in someone's chat room or something like that. So thank you all. Mwah! And yeah, peace out, y'all. Let me just get my mouse in control. Thank you.